Hello, geometry classes. So this is the 6-3 lesson on parallelograms. If my timing and everything was correct, it should be Monday, and you guys have a substitute today. So the lesson that we're going to go today is over parallelograms. This is a special type of quadrilateral, like we've discussed in prior classes. I'm going to give you guys just kind of the basic definitions here. You can always take a look in your books to get more information on this. It is a type of quadrilateral, which means it has four sides to it, and it has some special properties to it that we need to take a look at. So we have a four-sided object, and let's see here. Our special properties for this are that opposite sides are always going to be congruent. So this side will be equal to this side, and this side will always be equal to this side. Now it's a parallelogram, and because all of these side lengths are equal and stuff, all of angles are going to be preserved, so opposite angles will also be congruent, which leads to why we call this a parallelogram, and that is that opposite sides, so let me write a few things down here. So opposite sides and angles are congruent. And also, opposite sides are parallel. So let me get a different color here really quick. This side will be parallel to this side, and this side will be parallel to that side. Okay, that's a parallelogram. Okay, a good thing for you guys to pause this video and take some notes on really quickly. All right, as we were. So this, let's do an example here that takes these concepts of what a parallelogram is and some of the properties we have here. Sides are parallel, opposite sides are going to be congruent, and opposite angles are going to be congruent. Let's take all of those ideas and see if we can solve some problems with it. So this problem that I have right here, this is actually example 2 out of the textbook. So example number 2, what page is this? This is page 263 out of our textbook. Example 2, page 263 out of the textbook. And what we are asked to do with this particular problem is determine x. And once we determine x, determine each of the side lengths. So determine x. I can write determine x. All right, cool. So these are the types of problems that you're going to see predominantly on quizzes, and most of the homework assignment that I have assigned for you is going to be problems just like this. And all it is it's just applying these ideas. Opposite sides and opposite angles are going to be congruent. So that means these two side lengths, side length PS is going to be congruent to side length QR. Congruent is the same as saying equal. So that means that 7x minus 3 will be equal to 2x plus 12. Likewise, side length QP and side length RX will also be equal. So that gives us another equation. 4x will be equal to 5x minus 3. And we can solve for x from there. And theoretically, if this all works out, we should end up with the same value of x all the way around. So let's see what we end up with here. Okay, so I'm going to solve this for x on each part here. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit here. You guys can solve these on your own. Hit the pause button, whatever you guys need to, and then we'll come back and we'll check our work. All right, so we solved both equations, and lo and behold, they happen to work out to being the same exact x value. So now we can solve for each of these. We can say that segment QP will be congruent to segment RS, which in turn is going to be the measurement of these, so the measurement then of QP will be equal to the measurement of RS. Ooh, paper's fighting me. Of RS, we're going to plug in 3 in for this value here. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 minus 3 is 12. So we end up with 12 for those side lengths, for these two side lengths. So this is 12, and this one's 12. Likewise, we'll do the same thing here. We'll plug in 3 for, so we have PS will be congruent to QR. Okay, so the measurement of PS will be equal to the measurement of QR. Plug in 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 12 is 18 for this side. 7 times 3 is 21. 21 minus 3 is also 18. So that gives us all of our measurements. And we are able to find all of our side lengths there. All right. Similarly, let me see if there's another example here in the book. Similar kind of calculations since opposite side lengths are equal. This one was using opposite angles. This particular example uses side lengths. I could also use the angles here and do similar kinds of problems, which I believe you will see in the homework assignment when you guys get to it. We have one more thing here. We need to talk about the diagonals of a parallelogram, and we'll do that in just a second. Okay, the last piece of this video, we're going to take a look at the diagonals of a parallelogram. So, given a parallelogram, alright, and then we take a look at the diagonals. So if I connect the different side lengths, that line didn't show up very well, let me fix that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to connect opposite corners. So this corner connected to that corner, and this corner connected to that corner. So let me label the side lengths here. So we'll call this A, call this B, we'll call this one C, and we'll call this D. Okay. Here's what you need to know is that the diagonals of a parallelogram bisect each other. So the diagonals bisect each other. So what that means, let me label one more point on here. We're going to call this point here in the middle. For our purposes, we'll call it E, just so we kind of keep the lettering the same. What this means is that E is the midpoint of the segment DB. So let me write that down here for us. So E will be the midpoint of the line AC and the line DB. Okay, so this line and this line, E is the exact middle. So that means that AE will be congruent to AC. No, I'm sorry, EC. EC, not AC. EC. DC. So this segment is congruent to this segment. So this segment doubled is really the whole length here. So this middle length will be the whole length. So if I tell you that this length is equal to 4, so if the length AE is equal to 4, then the length EC will be equal to 4, and so on and so forth. Similarly for DE and EB. This length, if you know one length, you double it, you get the whole length. And that's the properties of a parallelogram. All right, that should be enough information for you guys to get started on the homework assignment that's been assigned. I'm going to post a couple of more videos along with the one that I've made here. I'll find a couple more for you guys on YouTube that you guys can watch, and hopefully those will fill in any holes that you guys might have. And you always have the textbook as an additional resource. And yeah, I'll be back on Tuesday. If you guys have questions, you guys can try sending me an email. Otherwise, just hold on to your questions until next class. All right, I'll see you guys next class.